back to the studio. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most frustrating things I think that quilters face, and that is tension. It creates tension in our neck, but that's not the kind of tension I'm talking about. I'm talking about tension in our sewing machine. And today I'm going to be talking mostly about tension in the long arm machine. And we're going to go over the first step of that today, where one of the parts of that originates, and that is with the bobbin. And so what we're going to be talking about is winding the bobbin, and we're going to be doing that with an external bobbin winder. Now I will tell you that I got my first long arm machine probably 25 years ago, and it was a HQ16, and the HQ16 did not have an onboard bobbin winder. By that I mean there was no way to wind the bobbin on the HQ16. You had to have an external bobbin winder to wind the bobbins. And I did purchase one of those when I got my machine. I don't remember where I got it. It was actually like an individual person that made them at home. He originated them, or he made this version of them, and he sold them, and I don't remember, maybe $150, $130, and I've had it ever since. Even when I sold my handy quilter, I kept the external bobbin winder because I've just gotten used to using it. It's kind of like the music style that you just stick with, or a hairstyle that you keep and you just stick with. I am happy with my external bobbin winder. Now the Bernina Q series does have an external bobbin winder on it, and I've never used it. I am more comfortable with the external bobbin winder. I like it. I feel like it has more control of the tension, being able to adjust it, and I just like it better. I may have tried the bobbin winder on the machine once, and I remember the thread getting caught between the bobbin and the machine, and it was kind of a mess. That may have been my error, but it was just easier for me to handle away from the machine, and so that's what I use. So this is at least one version of an external bobbin winder. It's a fairly rudimentary piece of equipment, and the spool goes here, the thread goes up here, and you'll notice that we have put a wedge of foam in here. This is a really useful tip because this foam helps prevent the thread from hopping out, because it is open at the bottom here. And that just keeps the thread from bouncing around too much and getting twisted. And I'll show you how we load that when you get a little closer. But when I had the HQ, it also had a tall thread holder, and sometimes the thread would also come out of that system, and I also had foam in that. So putting a piece of foam inside when your thread holder is too big is a good tip for keeping the thread in the holder itself so it doesn't bounce out. It also keeps it from twisting up too much. So this is a useful tip. At this point I'm going to plug the machine in and bring you in a little bit closer so you can see some of the components of the bobbin winder. I'm going to do this in a couple different takes because I want to focus on different components in up close takes of this. So this holds the thread. This is a spool holder, and this can hold either the small or the really large spools of thread. And as I said, the thread's going to go through here, and normally you could just push it up through the open slot and through, and that's pretty quick, but it also can bounce out just as fast as it bounces in. So we've put the foam in here, and this foam has been in here ever since I've had the bobbin winder. So that's the first part. The second part is I'm going to take the thread and go right through this white hole to start feeding it through the tension area. And there's a wheel right here that you can turn, and this increases or decreases the tension that's going to apply to the winding of the spool. So it will either tighten or loosen how tight that spool is getting wound. And so this is where the tension starts. And so once you get this set, you pretty well leave this alone. I haven't touched mine in years. Once I got it where I wanted it, I don't touch this anymore. If I have to make minor adjustments, then I make those on the bobbin case. So that's the first step, but I'm going to bring you in a little bit tighter so you can see this part of the tension disc. Now the natural inclination, I think, would be just to go ahead and put the thread through this way and under and over to the awaiting bobbin. But if we go underneath this way, from underneath and over the top, then we're getting a complete cycle, one complete rotation of the thread through the tension disc. And we know that we're getting a good even tension on that. So then we can go right over to the bobbin. So what I load on here is M-class bobbin, so I'm going to show you two different versions of that. I'll tell you another little story in regard to bobbins themselves. When I sold my handy quilter, I sold all of the bobbins, of course, that I had in my possession. And when I got my Bernina Q24, I bought it secondhand. And when I got the Bernina, it didn't come with any of the Bernina bobbin cases. I just had universal M-class bobbin cases, and so those are the ones I always replaced it with. And the ones that I liked were the ones with a little slot in the side, because to me it was so much easier to get the thread started, because I just would put the hole through there and then I would put it on the post and I could hold the thread and it would start perfectly every time. So as long as I have the bobbin fully seated on that post, pull this forward. Now I am going to admit mine is a little loose. I need to tighten it up, so I'm going to have to hold it right here. But I'm going to press with my belly. And if you just kind of guide, let the thread go through your hand, again it helps prevent the thread from getting twisted as it goes on the spool. Sometimes if it's not feeding evenly all the way across, it could be where the bobbin is seated on the post, but also you could guide it with your finger to some extent. I have noticed on the Bernina Q24 that you cannot load the bobbin all the way till this pops off, because if the bobbin's full, you're going to get thread breaks over and over and over until it's like 7/8 full, and then the thread breaks will stop. So I never completely fill the bobbin for the Bernina in my case. Now recently I was reading that you should only use the Bernina bobbins with the bobbin case because they had special grooves that prevented spinning. And so I went ahead and bought these really expensive bobbins, but the grooves are on the inside here, not on the inside here, which is where I was thinking they were going to be at. So the problem is that I have a really hard time getting the thread started on here. You're going to see just how hard it is for me to get the thread started. Okay, I guess for the TV it went ahead and did it nice for me. But this is the process. You just keep loading it up. But this dial here is what you can adjust to either loosen or tighten the thread as it goes onto the bobbin itself. So this is the first step in adjusting the tension on your machine and keeping it even and reducing some of the stress in your life. But this is where tension problems can start. And if you can get this under control, it is one step less that you have to worry about. Now, I know a lot of you have been quilting for a long time, so this is probably all old hat to you. But one of the great things about quilting, one of the things I love anyway, is that there's always new people coming in, and a lot of the new people do not know about all of these things. So this is a cool thing that if you're going to be getting into long arming, you really might want to look into. All you have to do is Google external bobbin winders. You're going to find a lot of different makes and models. And all you have to do is look for reviews on the ones that you're interested in. Like I said, I believe I paid somewhere around $150 for mine, but that was 20 years ago. But it is pretty much a one-time purchase. I do need to tighten up my motor mount a little bit or move the apparatus further that way. It does have screws to do that. I just have never gotten around to doing it. But as far as that goes, that's about all there is to it. It's very easy to use. And like I said, I'm much happier doing this away from the machine than having one more thing on the machine that could get frustrated with. So it's also nice because you don't have to unwind the machine if you're using a specific thread or anything. I just keep a different spool of thread. I just like it. I also have a hard time leaning over the machine to get to the spool holder there. This I can have on the table and it's more comfortable. So this is the first step in tension. In another video I will talk about another step, and that is the bobbin case itself. And it's amazing how much the tension can change just from one bobbin to the next. So we'll talk about that next time. But for the meantime, thanks for stopping by today. I hope this was helpful for at least some of you. Until we see you again next time, take care of yourself and take care of each other.